I'm Scotty,
I'm Tosh.
and we're from Ogden Built Media, where we focus on educating contractors. Welcome to today's podcast. Have you decided that you're going to run your own company, but you have no idea what to do? Or maybe you're brand new to the construction industry. Can you run your own company? Do you have what it takes? These are some of the questions that Tosh is going to ask me.
Well, I have 5 important questions that I'm going to ask Scotty about how to keep your company profitable. Before we start,
What do you think our subscribers would really want to listen to?
I think we should have like a monthly podcast for frequently asked questions because there are many common questions that everybody has in this industry. So we can have a monthly podcast just answering your questions.
Hello, and welcome to our brand new podcast, all about the construction industry. Our mission here is to support and empower construction workers in researching their full potential, providing them with the resources and training they need to succeed. In each episode, we'll dive into the unique challenges and opportunities facing those in this critical industry. You'll hear from experts in the field and explore innovative solutions to the issues that workers may face. At the heart of it all, we believe that by investing in our team, we can build a better future for those in the construction industry. We are dedicated to creating a motivated and knowledgeable workforce that can shape our communities and improve our daily lives. So join us now on this exciting journey as we work towards creating a brighter future for those in this industry.
What were some of the biggest challenges you faced when you were opening your construction company?
You know, you can't really run a company on your own. You need staff. You need somebody to help you lift the wall and cut some pieces. And just for safety reasons, you need to have staff on site. If I just treat my staff like they're human beings and care about their career, they will stick around longer. I had staff with me for years and years after that. Some of the staff I still have 20 years later. I honestly believe that if you empower your staff and give them a good place to work, they're going to stick around. If you actually like who you are as a person and you're happy inside, the rest of your team's going to be happy. But if you're like a miserable, grumpy old person, like everyone around you is going to be affected in the same way. So you really got to encourage that growth in people's minds.
So, how did you find your clients and customers to getting more jobs and start working?
I was a very passionate young carpenter. I loved the construction industry. I loved my job. Everywhere I went, I would talk about it. People knew that I was in construction, so they knew that they could call on me. And I never took no for an answer. I never thought, "Oh, I can't do that." Even if I couldn't do it, I would still say I could do it and I would figure out how to do it. I would phone around and find people that could give me some advice and then I would go and do it. And I always succeeded because I had that mindset that I can do it. If you start to care about people and you start helping people, like for instance, the truck driver that comes to the job sites, that's his job to take the lumber off the truck and put it on the ground. But I would go and help him. I would roll up the straps. I'd unbuckle the things. I'd go and tie all the loads up to his crane so he didn't have to work as hard. I would help him. But when he went back to the yard, he told the guy, the shipper, his boss, he says, "Man, I like delivering lumber to the Ogden sites because they actually like help me out." So this kind of like grew that belief that I actually cared about people, and then we had a construction company that was more of a service industry rather than a dictatorship, if you want to say.
Did you have any financial challenges early when you start your business, and how you manage those challenges?
So the biggest financial challenges I had was I was using this year's money to pay for last year's taxes. I wasn't putting money aside. Every time I got a check, I would go through that check. It was gone. So then when the tax time came and I owed $10,000 or $20,000, I go, "Oh, no problem. I'll just go find more work." Not realizing that more work, I had to pay tax on that. So the next year, I'm in the same situation. So it continued to snowball every year. And the more money I made, the more I owed. And then in 2008, when, the crap hit the fan and everything went kaput, I owed like $30,000 in taxes. I didn't have that money and I didn't have work to come. So those are some huge challenges. Since then, this is how I deal with my finances now, is that every time a check comes in, I set aside 10% of that money for taxes or GST or WorkSafe so that it's in the account.
How did you manage when you realize that you owe taxes and the situation is not good enough? So how did you manage those situation?
I didn't manage that situation. It was terrible. Like I couldn't sleep at night. It took years off my life because I was worried about, can I support my family? Can I support the workers that are working for me? Like, what happens if I have to go belly up or go bankrupt? Like, these were some serious worries in my life, and they kept me up at night. I didn't like it.
How did you attract talented employees and encourage them to stay there first when you start your business?
Well, what I looked for wasn't just the talent. I always looked for someone's ability to learn. If I could give them instructions and they can go do those instructions, then they got one notch on the belt, and then I'd give them in more instructions and move them up. I always look for someone that had excessive compulsive disorder because I was fussy and I wanted my staff to be fussy as well. And people with OCD want to spend the time to do it right. And I always believed, do it right first and the speed comes later. So if you can teach someone to do something properly the first time, then eventually you can say, okay, now you took an hour to do that. See if you can do it in 45 minutes. Okay, now you've done it in 45 minutes. Let's break it down to half an hour. That was the inspiration behind retaining my staff, was like allowing them to learn their own speed and be fussy.
Looking back at your early days as a contractor, what advice would you give to someone who just starting have a business?
I would definitely say if you think you can do it. There's no question about that. That's the first thing. If you've got a dream that you want to run your own company, there is nothing holding you back. You can do it. The difference is between a successful contractor and a not a successful contractor is in the planning. And if you don't have business knowledge, if you don't know how to run a business or maintain a business, get a business coach, or you need to go to school and learn. And I'm a big believer in education. If you went to a regular college to learn about business, that's great, but that's all in house. It's all about learning a generic set of business standards. But if you actually hired a business coach or had someone that could help train you through a program, it's very individualized where you have one-on-one coaching. Like I'm having problems in this, and then you can actually get advice on, hey, what do I do in this particular situation? And it's very, very personal. It'll excel you from this level to this level very rapidly.
If you want to tell us a story about like when you realize that having a business coach, is there any moment that you can mention and point at to explain how did you feel after having a business coach?
Well, it's actually kind of funny because I ran a company for 20 years before I even knew what a profit and loss statement was. I was literally flying by the seat of my pants. I was making it up as I went along. Even if I didn't have my dad knew quite a bit about business. So I'd call him and say, what do I do? And he'd give me some advice and I would try his advice. But he didn't know my industry, so he could only give me, situational advice. Looking back at my younger self, I would say getting some knowledge in business is important. Hiring a contract lawyer is even more important. An accountant is the absolute most important thing because the numbers don't lie. Are you cash positive or are you driving your business into the hole? If there's any questions that you guys have out there that you think we should be doing a podcast on,
Leave your comment. We will answer your comments, and also maybe we would have another episode of your questions and answer all of those.
And that concludes our podcast for today. Thank you very much for joining in. If you like what you heard, hit the subscribe button down below. Leave a comment. We really want to hear from you. We want to hear what keeps you up at night and what questions do you have about running a construction company.